and our recovery team is in touch about a way forward for the matter. We have accepted requests. We can't have a shamble of a meeting on Western Springs like last time, but we have a lot we need to get through today. Today's item being discussed in public is about the future of Western Springs, not past decisions we've already made. They haven't been very strong in enforcing it. Standing Order 3.9.1 limits public input to 30 minutes. And given the size of today's agenda and in the interest of time, please keep questions to questions, not statements or rambles. We're going to have 3 questions per submitter, and each submitter has 5 minutes to present. I'd like ask Bronwyn Carruthers of the Western Springs Speedway Association to come forward speaking about the EIO process and not adopting option 2. Okay. Bronwyn, are you here? Are you here on behalf of a client or yourself?
On behalf of the client. So could you...
And the client is?
As per my request on behalf of Western Springs Speedway Association.
Okay. Just one question before you start. I understand the society was only incorporated on the 6th of December in 2024.
That's correct.
So that was actually 6 months after the expression of interest.
That's correct.
Closed. Okay, so it didn't exist before. Okay,
that's right.
You go.
Thank you. So firstly, thank you for allowing me to speak in advance of your consideration of item 8.4 today. This is in opposition to the recommendations D and E relating to revised option 2 in the item, and a request that you instead endorse option 3B. I'm going to speak briefly, but in relation to 2 topics. Firstly, the context as to why I'm here this morning, and then secondly, the report that is in front of you for consideration. So dealing first with context, as I just discussed with the Mayor, the EIO process commenced in June 2024. It was undertaken, and this is a direct quote from the document, to gain an understanding of new and innovative ideas for the long-term future of the stadium and assess them against the status quo. Now, at that time, the status quo was Speedway, Ponsonby Rugby, and concerts. There was no need for the status quo to submit. Now, the association was then formed 6 months later in December 2024, and its purpose under its constitution was threefold, but one being to advocate for the continued presence of Speedway at Western Springs. Now, the judicial review proceedings, and I will not speak to them today in light of the clear standing orders, but the judicial review proceedings filed in April of last year challenged decisions made by Tātaki and Auckland Council. The council decisions that are challenged is firstly the refusal to members of Speedway to speak prior to the decision, the decision to remove Speedway from Western Springs and consolidate at Waikaraka Park, and a refusal for information that had been requested at the time, which has since been provided. There are 5 grounds of review. What is important for this meeting is that the council defence says that no decision has been made to remove Speedway from Western Springs and consolidate it at Waikaraka Park. So no decision as yet on Speedway at Western Springs. Now, that is contrary to clear statements that have been made at these meetings and workshops since. The 1st of May meeting last year, the March workshop a few weeks ago, and the item itself before you today. All indicate that that decision, at least in some of your minds, has been made. Now, this provides a bit of a quandary in that the statement of defence position by Council and Tātaki is helpful in the suggestion that no decision has been made, but all indications at meetings since are to the contrary, which obviously strengthens my client's position on JR, but has also made it difficult to get any traction on option 3B. Now, that judicial review hearing is scheduled for mid-July. The decision could be anticipated by Christmas, which means you have time to fairly pursue option 3B. Turning then to the item before you today, as I said before, the status quo at the time this process started had Speedway, Ponsonby Rugby and concerts. That status quo changed in March last year when the venue hire agreement with Palmerston North Speedway Limited ended. There is no analysis before you against the status quo as it was at the start of the EIO process, which was what the process said would happen. The consultation you undertook last year was strongly in support of the return of Speedway. As noted in the report before you, option 3B, 33% support, with 80% of those specifically referencing Speedway. Option 3A, 16% in support, with many of those supporting the return of Speedway. Now, this is one of the problems from the way the consultation was run and the confusion as to what option entailed Speedway at Western Springs. But if you add those two options together, that is 49% in support of options other than two. Sorry, options involving Speedway. Now, option 2 has since been further developed at the direction of the Tātaki Board. I would say that the projections in figure 1 of your item are somewhat questionable, but in any event, it looks to be a refocus from the large concerts that have always been at Western Springs to mid-sized concerts between the indoor venues and stadia. So those are the size of concerts between what would happen in an indoor venue and the stadia. That does not reflect the past use of Western Springs and may well need to be reflected on since the Eden Park 2.1 decision are recently taken. The primary increase is in something called boutique sports events, which are undefined in the report before you, but references to NPC rugby and other sports occurring on a rectangular field requiring broadcasting. In this option, there is no analysis of retaining Speedway in the mix of other activities or scheduling, beyond one comment at para 86 that is unsubstantiated. Option 3 has not been similarly progressed, despite the provision of an option as a starter by WSSA. 3 reasons are given for not doing so. One is implications for recent investment at Waikaraka Park. Now, that's the actual subject of the judicial review and is not a valid reason. Secondly, uncertainty for Ponsonby Rugby. Again, there is none. They have always coexisted. And then in paragraph 81, that it would effectively revisit or extend a process that has already identified a credible pathway forward. Now, that is not the relevant question or test for you. So none of the reasons given in the item for not progressing option 3B further are valid in any way. The proposal that's been put forward by the association provides for Speedway, events, Ponsonby Rugby, and other rectangular field sports events for broadcast. It is far superior to option 2. So my request is you endorse option 3B instead, allowing proper consideration of Speedway at Western Springs, mid-sized events if that is indeed the focus, a long-term home for Ponsonby Rugby, capable of other sports events that require broadcast as well. Thank you.
Councillor Watson has a question.
Thank you, Bronwyn, for that presentation. You referred to our agenda item here, and you may or may not have seen that part of it has a section to do with litigation risk. There's a section there that points out the warnings with that. Some of what you said today is certainly news to me, and particularly as it goes to this notion of decisions. As I understand what you said there, Council says no decision has been made, yet in our very agenda, I think there's at least 3 or 4 references to decisions being made. And of course, people who attend workshops are well aware that that statement has been made on a number of occasions. So my simple question at the end of all that is, in terms of, without going into detail, the council substantive defence, in terms of decision-making process, what's your view on the likelihood of success then, from your view, in respect of the decision-making defence, given that it's referenced multiple times in this agenda?
I would say that all meetings held since the judicial review were filed have strengthened the likelihood of success of the proceedings.
No further questions up here, so, Councillor Lee.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good morning. In terms of the recommended option of building a semi-permanent stage, the so-called Western Springs Bowl option, building a 2.5 million stage across the track, is that likely to mean a fait accompli in terms of there is recent case law about a successful judicial review, but because of the reality on the ground, the judgment could make no direction, in this case to the Wellington City Council, to put things back, given the amount of expenditure. Do you think, and assuming good faith on behalf of Tātaki Auckland Unlimited, that this could perhaps inadvertently mean a fait accompli and therefore in effect sabotage the objectives of the judicial review? Is there a danger in that, or to be seen to be doing that?
I don't want this to be perceived as a threat, but if the council endorses option 2 and the plan is to undertake any physical works at Western Springs in advance of the outcome of the judicial review, then an injunction will be applied for to stop any such works happening so that that exact situation doesn't occur.
So just so I heard it right, if the recommended decision is taken, it's likely to result in an injunction, is that correct?
An application for the injunction, I can't determine obviously whether the court would grant it or not, but yes, there would be further litigation in the event option 2 is chosen today.
Councillor Turner, please.
Thank you very much. In your learned opinion, who is the owner of this consultation process? Is it Tātaki Unlimited, is it Auckland Council, or do they jointly own this process?
Both entities have obligations in relation to the consultation process, but this is a decision for the council in terms of what occurs with this asset.
I'm confused because at different times I've had questions buffered because I'm told I'm presenting them to the wrong entity. So both Tātaki and Auckland Council have a responsibility in the outcome, is that correct?
In my opinion, yes.
Thank you.
I've actually had 3. I was going to limit it to 3 today. So do you really have a question?
My question was simply that in the time restraints of public forum, were there any other fresh matters that the submitter wished to draw to our attention?
Not that I'm aware of, but thank you for the question.
Thank you very much. It's a recommendation that we receive the public input from Bronwyn and Carruthers on behalf of Western Springs Speedway Association regarding the use, and thank you for your attendance. I'll move that. Seconded by the Councillor Fletcher. All those in favour, say aye. Contrary, carried. Thank you very much, Bronwyn. The next item is I'd like to bring Brent Eccles from Eccles Entertainment